Hello YouTubers, Roguemonk Jr. here for another episode of Bare Bones Monday. The gun featured in today's episode will be the SVD-12. This is a DMR weapon and it is available to every class in Battlefield 4. The max damage of this weapon is 45 and it drops all the way down to a minimum damage of 38. The drop off starts at 15 meters and it ends at 60 meters. It has a pretty decent rate of fire of 260 RPM for a DMR, which is pretty good for a semi-automatic weapon. It has a muzzle velocity of 590 meters per second, which is quite fast. You're going to be able to kill targets on the move without a problem, even at longer ranges. It has a magazine size of 16, which is pretty decent considering that you're going to need like 2 or 3 shots depending on where you hit the target to kill your enemy. The short reload time for the SVD-12 is 1.95 seconds, which is comparable to some of the fastest reloading assault rifles and carbines. And the long reload time is 2.6 seconds. So it's not going to set you back that much, so you're not going to have to time your reloads as much as you would with other weapons that take a lot longer to reload. Now the recoil pattern. This is where the DMR category of weapons get a little bit harder to use. It's got a recoil up of 0.95, a pull left of 0.2, and a pull right of 0.07. So it's not going to bounce that much from side to side. It's more like every time you shoot, it's going to bounce up a lot. And it has a first shot multiplier of 1. So it's not that bad, but you're not going to want to put anything on the DMR that could increase the vertical recoil, because that's really going to hurt your accuracy and you're probably going to have a lot more of a hard time to kill your enemy. And I would also not suggest like moving around when you're shooting. Like stop, shoot, and then move, stop, shoot. Because if you move while shooting, you're not going to kill anybody with this. You're just going to miss all your shots and the enemy's going to know where you're at. Obviously a DMR isn't really a close quarter weapon. You're going to want to use it in engagement distances a little bit like longer to medium range. I would suggest using this gun like in rush game modes or game modes where you can really control your engagement distance. I was using it in team deathmatch or in close quarter map like Operation Metro. I wouldn't suggest it. You can do good with it, but you're really going to have to be sneaky and like hide behind cover all the time, because you're going to take 2 shots and then somebody's going to start shooting at you with an automatic rifle, and you're really going to want to keep distance from your enemy because they're just going to tear you up. Especially if the enemy has a really high rate of fire gun, your chances are going to be minimal of coming out of that alive if you're engaging them in close quarter combat. The strength of the DMR class of weapons is keep your distance, take pop shots, aim for those headshots, because you're going to get 2-shot kills consistently if you get 1 headshot in at least, because it does 45 damage max when you're like 15 meters and closer, and then 38 at 60 meters. So you're really gonna wreck your enemy. I was getting a lot of kill assist counts as kill just because I was getting the 1 headshot off on my enemies and people were finishing them off, especially in the closer quarter maps. You can see my footage. I was playing Gillian Peaks. This is actually a pretty good map to use DMRs on, because there's a lot of open areas. Like sure, there's a lot of cover in the trees and shit, but people that are going to be shooting at you from a distance, you're going to have the advantage on them, just because you have that range on the gun and the strength of the DMR with the higher caliber rounds. The stock version of the SVD-12 is by no means like unusable. Like sure, the iron sight's always shit. Like the housing, the metal housing around it is so huge. I was actually having an easier of a time seeing my enemies in the distance when I was aiming down sight than like up close, just because the metal housing is so fucking huge. It's not really a hip-fire weapon either, so I wouldn't really recommend trying to like put a laser sight on here to hip-fire. You're not gonna do that good, especially most of the time when you're hip-firing. You're kind of moving around at the same time, trying to dodge the enemy. So DMRs aren't hip-fire weapons. So like I said, rush game modes, conquests, where you can keep your engagement distance a little bit further, and like TDM maps where there's like maybe 64 players, so there's a wall that creates like separation in the map, which each team has one side and you can like stay in the backfields a little bit more. Moving on to the attachment part of the video, for the SVD-12, the sights I would like to use are obviously like the Coyote, and if I'm really trying to stick to longer ranges, I like to use a 4x sight. I just use the PSO one because it's pretty much my favorite 4x magnified optic. But other than that, I'm just going to use the Coyote. for the accessory, I really like to use the target detector, just because it helps you spot enemies even though you can't really see them with your eyes. The target detector might spot them for you, and that would help you like peek at enemies that are really far away and actually get those shots off on them. I don't use a barrel attachment, especially not like the heavy barrel, because it gives you a lot more vertical recoil, and seeing as you're always going to be doing a first shot, you're always going to be having extra recoil, and if you start like spam firing the weapon, it's actually going to like be really inaccurate. So I just put nothing on here. For the underbarrel, I obviously put like the angle grip or the folding grip, whichever you prefer aesthetically. I just put the angle grip. It gives you 33% reduction on first shot recoil, and that's one of the most important parts of a DMR, is reducing that first shot recoil, because every shot is your first shot since it's not a full automatic weapon. Moving on to some gameplay in Operation Metro. Like I said, it's not really the best situation to use a DMR, but I was trying to get some footage done, and this is the map that I would end up playing using the SVD 12. I was by no means doing bad. It's just that sometimes I was having a little bit of a hard time killing the closer range enemies. I was trying to stick behind like my teammates so they could like cover fire for me, and like I would support them from the back, because there's no way I was going up against AEK 971s and FAMASs and coming out of that shit alive, right? So that's just the trick. Stay back. If you're using it in a situation where you're not really gonna excel with it, stay back and try to hide behind cover. Get those headshots off. That's one of the most important parts with the DMR, is the headshots. Headshots are going to destroy your enemy. You're going to get 2-shot kills all the time. You really need to aim for that shit. At this part in the footage, you see I'm actually like moving around and shooting at the same time, and this is the thing that's going to kill your accuracy with the DMR, is moving around while shooting. You really need to stop, shoot, then move, because if you don't, you're just not going to hit anything, like I was saying earlier. And this is where the fact of having the angled grip or the folding grip, whatever one you prefer aesthetically, is going to come into play. You're going to reduce your first shot recoil by 33, and you're going to be able to get your target back a lot faster after that initial recoil, compared to having no grip at all. You could also like slap on the heavy barrel on this gun just to make your gun more accurate, but at the cost of additional muzzle climb. I don't really find it's a good trade-off, so I just prefer to leave the barrel with nothing on it, just to not increase the recoil pattern of the DMR class of weapons, because the more vertical recoil you have, the longer it's going to take for you to come back down and see your target again. And the more you're going to have a hard time spam firing. You're not going to be able to spam fire, you're going to have to really shoot at a slower rate than you would normally. That's about it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys like to run the SVD 12, and also which gun you would like to see featured in the next episode of Bare Bones Monday. You can also send me a Facebook or Twitter message if you have requests for the next video. Like, share, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. That always helps me out a lot, and I love making content, so I love for people to see my content. But yeah, other than that, until the next video, have a good one and take it easy.